Hi, friends. I'm seeing some exciting folks in the chat. I see Susan seems to be the name of the night. We've got a couple of Susans. We've got Autumn. We've got Shelby. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And hey, all you amazing kids and families. I'm Melissa DeAndrea Sullivan, and I'm the executive director of PFLAG New York City. At PFLAG NYC, we're here to provide support to families and friends of the LGBTQ plus community, and we build friends and allies all across New York City and wherever we go. I'm so excited to welcome you to our Reading with Love Story Hour with Banned Books tonight. You know, sometimes people try to stop us from reading cool books that talk about love and being yourself just because they're afraid. But we're not going to let that happen because we're a brave group who stands up for what we believe in. And we believe in celebrating love in all of its forms and being true to who we are. Today, we have some super special guests, drag artists who are like magical storytellers. They're going to make these stories come alive in the most fabulous way possible. These stories are like beacons of love and happiness. They show us how to be the best, most wonderful versions of ourselves. And guess what? We're not going to keep them hidden. We're going to share them with all of you. In the next hour, you're going to see lots of sparkles, lots of glitter and excitement. Our drag friends, Coco Sho-Nell, Emi Grate, Mr. Max, and Nancy Nogood are going to use their incredible talents to bring these stories to life. They're showing us that being yourself is the coolest thing ever. Our stories today will talk about important stuff, like how everyone is unique, different families, and the history of a super colorful flag that became a symbol of safety and welcoming for our community. All the stories were written for kids just like you, but they're fun for adults too, to help us see a future filled with love and happiness. So let's get ready for a fantastic adventure and let's have a blast together. Thanks for being here, and let's enjoy the show. Our first book is called Pride, and we have a very special message from the author, and then it will be performed by one of PFLAG NYC's best friends, Miss Nancy Nogood.
Drag queens, banned books, what could be better? Hey, I'm Rob Sanders. I'm the author of Pride, the story of Harvey Milk and the Rainbow Flag, as well as other books that celebrate the LGBTQ community. And I'm thrilled that you're going to be hearing my book read during this event. Pride was inspired back in 2015 when the Supreme Court made its marriage equality decision. That night, the White House was lit up in the colors of the rainbow flag. And I knew as a school teacher that my students had probably seen a pride flag, but didn't know about its history or its importance or why people like me cared about it. So I decided to write a book that would help those students and other students know about the flag, about Harvey Milk, and about my community. So I wrote it for my students, but I also wrote it for myself, for kids and adults who don't know our history or haven't had a chance to read about our history. I wrote it for you. So I believe we need to know our history, and we should be able to celebrate it, read about it, teach about it, tell about it. I hope you will continue to read with love and read with pride. Enjoy.
Hi! Oh my gosh, hello everyone. Thank you so much, PFLAG New York City, and thank you everyone for letting me join you today and read to you the story of Pride, the story of Harvey Milk and the Rainbow Flag, written by Rob Sanders and illustrated by Stephen Salerno. Let's get in. You have to give them hope. Hope for a better world, hope for a better tomorrow. Harvey Milk was an ordinary man with an extraordinary dream. That dream would change history. Harvey dreamed that everyone, even gay people, would have equality. He dreamed that he and his friends would be treated like everybody else. He dreamed that one day people would be able to live and love as they pleased. I need to ride a bike sometime. With his New York accent, Harvey talked to everyone about his dream. His voice boomed. His body bounced with energy and excitement. Some people listened. A few agreed. Most did not. But Harvey's big voice and his big dream wouldn't be stopped. He discovered that the best way to change laws was to make laws. In 1977, Harvey Milk took a big step towards that dream when he became one of the first openly gay people to be elected to political office in the United States. Harvey and his friends planned marches to protest inequality and unfair laws. And just days before one of these marches, Harvey had an idea. Ding! A symbol, he thought. We need a symbol that shows who we are and how we feel. Look at all of these beautiful symbols. Look at these. We got recycling. We got peace on earth. We've got the UN. We've got this big old symbol we see every July and every day of the year in America. So many symbols here, right? He wanted to do something like that. Something to carry during the march. Something to make people feel they are a part of a community. Something to give people hope. Something extraordinary. Harvey knew an artist who could help. Gilbert Baker. Harvey asked, and Gilbert said, "We need a flag." Volunteers arrived to help Gilbert's design come to life. Together, they dipped fabric into large barrels filled with vivid, vibrant dyes. They cut and pieced and sewed until Harvey, Gilbert, and the other activists had a flag. A flag with 8 colorful stripes. A flag that Harvey hoped would give hope. Look at this little quote right here. Rights are won only by those who make their voices heard. Say that again. On June 25th, 1978, when it was time for the march, a breeze stirred in San Francisco. Ooh, chilly. The flag unfurled. The wind blew. The flag fluttered, flapped, and flew. A rainbow as bright and unique as the men and women who walked behind it led the march. Harvey and the people asked for equality. They asked to be treated like everyone else. They asked to live and love as they please. They hoped the march would make a difference. Do you think it made a difference? We shall see. Harvey was proud of the flag and proud of himself. And he hoped others could be proud too. Look at all these proud people. Look at this. We got a surfer. We've got a service woman. We've got, I bet that dog's proud. That dog is proud. You know the dog is. Look at all these wonderful people. Look at that. Look at that. Look at her. Look at her. Anyway, let's keep going. 5 months later, on the morning of November 27th, 1978, Harvey and the mayor of San Francisco, George Moscone, were assassinated. Their lives were taken by a man who did not think like Harvey, or feel like him, or love like him. The flag did not fly on that dark, sad night. Instead, thousands and thousands of people marched silently, carrying candles. The candlelight wove through the streets of San Francisco, up and down hills and around city buildings. A mile of glowing candlelight in honor of 2 lives lost. That could have been the end of Harvey's dream and the colorful flag. But it wasn't. More rainbow flags were made. Some were printed on bumper stickers and t-shirts. Others were hoisted onto lampposts on Halsted Street in Chicago. One was hung in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. That's where I am. Soon, the rainbow flag was flying in other countries like Brazil, England, Israel, Russia, Singapore, and Turkey, and many other countries. I'm sure you can name one. There's a flag there. The rainbow flag now unfurled on farms, in suburbs, and in cities. The flag flew proudly outside public buildings, hotels, shops, restaurants, churches, and homes. Like that one right there. And once on June 26th, 2015, the White House was awash in the colors of the rainbow flag. Equality, pride, hope, love. Harvey's dream became a flag for us all. Thank you so much, everyone. Mwah! Toodaloo.
Thank you, Nancy, for that beautiful and exciting kickoff and for making your voice heard. I hope all of you will march with PFLAG NYC and wave your flags at New York City Pride on the last Sunday in June. And now we're on to our next book, In Our Mother's House. It's written by Patricia Polacco and performed by the most talented Coco Sho-Nell.
Well, hello everyone out there. Hope you're having an amazing Thursday. I am, because I get to spend it with you. And my name is Miss Coco Sho-Nell, spelled phonetically. You look it up. And we're going to read a lovely book called In Our Mother's House. Now, in my mother's house, there are many rules, but you're going to learn about this one today, okay? And this one is by Patricia Polacco. When my mothers told me about how they brought me home to live with them shortly after I was born, their eyes would shine and glisten and they grin from ear to ear. They told me how they had walked across dry, hot deserts, sailed through turbulent seas, flew over tall mountains, and trekked through fierce storms just to bring me home. Then they both got tears in their eyes when they tell me what it was like to hold me in their arms for the very first time. Now, 3 years after I was born, my brother Will came to us. He was so tiny, just 3 days old. Then there was Millie. We always kidded that our mothers found her under a lily pad in a enchanted pond deep in a hidden forest. She became part of our family when she was 2 months old, 3 years after Will had come. Now, our mothers were so different from each other, and that all of us often wondered how they found each other at all. Now, Mima was short and stout. Her family was Italian, so she loved to cook. And she loved to sew upstairs on a noisy old machine like this, like that. I have one of those. Mima was a pediatrician, and whenever any of us got sick, she always knew exactly what to do to make us feel better. Isn't it wonderful? Now, Marnie was tall and thin. She could fix just about anything and organize everything. She made lists, posted chores on the refrigerator door, and kept the house so clean and tidy. We used to kid her that if we got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, she'd make our beds before we could climb back into them. Now, Marmy was a paramedic who rode in an ambulance. Whenever there was any kind of emergency, she always remained calm and took charge. See? Now, our mothers loved to laugh. Mima's whole body shook when she laughed, and Marmy laughed almost silently. But she laughed so hard that she practically fall down and go limp. Now, our mother's house was always alive with music, all kinds. Sometimes our mothers would put on old rock and roll and swing records and get us all to dance with them. Sounds like my house. Now, this is the Holly Gully, Mima would sing out. Once she flapped her arms like wings and clucked, the chicken dance. Come on, let's see you do the chicken dance. Yes, yes, chicken dance. You know that one. And this is bebop, Marmy said as she grabbed Will and spun him around, then dipped him backwards. Oh, we laughed and laughed. We lived in a big old brown shingle house on Woolsey Street in Berkeley, California. That was set back from the street. Now, when we walked into our mother's house, the first thing we saw was a staircase. All of us slid down the banisters. Now, once Will was sliding so fast that he couldn't stop at the bottom. He flew off and took the finial with him. Silly Will. Now, in the living room, the old clinker brick fireplace was the heart of our home. Sometimes Marmy and Mima pop popcorn in it, and we'd all sit, eat popcorn and apples, and share stories. It was Millie's favorite place to be. I remember when she was just 2, she got up in the middle of the night, and we found her the next morning asleep in the hearth, covered in charcoal. She had taken a piece of charcoal and drawn all over the nearby wall. Now, that'll get me in trouble. I don't know about y'all. Now, we couldn't take our eyes off her drawing. It was so beautiful. If we had known it before, we knew then just how magical Millie was. Well, my little sparrow, Mima finally whispered, looks like you are a magnificent artist. Now, the most favorite place to be for us kids was the sunroom above the carport. That is where all of our toys lived. It was where we played dress up and where every Halloween costume we wore began. No store-bought costumes for us. Marmy and Millie designed them, and Mima would help us sew them. Now, one year we went as wild animals. Rarely any of our neighbors recognized us. That is, except for Mrs. Lochner. It's always one. Now, she knew us all right. She glared at us when she opened the door. She glared at our mothers too. Her kids came running, and we were really excited to see us. But Mrs. Lochner turned her back and shut the door. What's the matter with her? That's me too. What's the matter with her? Will blurted out. But our mother said nothing and continued down the block. Even so, it was one of the best Halloweens we ever had. We even won the Claremont Avenue costume contest that year. Yes, come on, Halloween. Now, our upstairs bathroom was almost big enough to hold our entire family at one time. It almost did too. Now, I remember the night that all of us kids came down with the flu, all at once. Mima and Marmy were darting between each of our rooms. Will, Millie, and I were throwing up. Oh. Our mothers changed sheets, washed pajamas, Bathe our bathe our foreheads with a cool washcloth. I love how soft their hands were when they would touch our faces and wiped away our tears. Now, after 2 days of utter misery, our mothers announced that they had a surprise for us. They should make you feel better, Marmee sang out. We opened our eyes, and there they stood, holding two adorable puppies. Oh, I love puppies. Now, when those puppies started jumping about and licking our faces, we all squealed with joy. We finally named them Miso and Wasabi. Mm-hmm. Someone likes sushi. Yum, I do too. Now, one of the best things about our mother's house was the tree house that we built in the backyard. Practically the entire neighborhood helped us. It all started with Will, who, like Marmee, was always building things. One Saturday, we found some plants from a tree house in a magazine and went to her. It took several weekends to finish, but the Saturday that we did finish it, everyone stood in a circle around the treehouse. Marmee and Meemaw broke a bottle of soda over the door jab and named the treehouse Thistle House. Now that night, all of us kids got to sleep there. Even the Lochner kids were invited, but their parents came and got them. Mm. Now, they barely spoke to us, just pulled them down the driveway. They just plain didn't like us, I guess. I couldn't quite understand why. They always tried to be respectful and friendly the way our mothers taught us to be. Hmm. Now, the kitchen in our mother's house was the center of everything that was happening in our household. The kitchen doorway was where our kids got measured every year. Mima and Marmee's handwriting is still there even now. And all of our family holidays began in the kitchen, just like my family. Hmm. Our grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins usually came for the weekend. Our Italian grandpa, our Nono, was in charge of cooking. Now, we all love gnocchi. I love gnocchi too. Delicious. We all helped him unload the perfect Roma tomatoes, the oxtails, the pork shanks, and the beef brisket. Oh, now I'm getting hungry. Mm, hungry. We peeled onions and shaved and diced carrots and chopped fresh herbs from the garden. Now, after the sauce had been cooking for most of the day, all of us stood at the kitchen island. Nono made a well, made a well in the middle of the hill of flour and broke several eggs into it. Then he riced very hot boiled potatoes right into the flour well. He'd shake his hands from the heat of it as he kneaded the volcano of flour, eggs, and potatoes in a dough. You get a recipe now. Okay, I'm gonna take this later. Do this later. Now, then Marmee and Meemaw rolled the dough into long tubes. Millie and Will got to cut them into small pillows. Then I ran each pillow over the back of the floured fork. Nono dropped the gnocchi into boiling water. When they floated to the top, they were done. Sauce and potato dumplings were dished up, salads were made, and baguettes of French bread from the bakery were carried to the table, where we were all so ready to eat. I'm ready to eat too. This was good. Now, at our table, we didn't only eat, though. Marmee and Meemaw made sure of that. Everyone talked about everything: politics, sports, music, art. Their voices got louder and louder. Opera was always playing in the background. Then they all burst into laughter that shook the table. Nono would pound his fist and laugh the loudest. What I loved the most about our family was that we could all speak our hearts. We never measured words. Now, after dinner, all of us kids would sit on the stairs with our grandparents. This is when they tell us about when they were young in the old country. It was the best part of the day. Marnie and Mima would listen and smile. Oh. One of the niftiest things that happened in our neighborhood was Woolsey Street Block Party. Marmee organized it, of course. It became a tradition. Now, for that first time, Millie and I made all of the invitations by hand, and Mima took us around to deliver them from door to door. Everyone was invited. Now, when we stopped at the Lochner's house, their mother glared at us the way she always did. Why doesn't that lady like us, Mima? I asked my mother. She just smiled at me and hugged me up. I like you, baby, she said, and we went on our way. Now, the day of our big block party arrived. Each of the houses on the street had to invent some sort of game in their front yard. The McGuires across the street had a landmine contest. Ooh, that sounds fun. A blindfolded player had to pick his way past marshmallow mines while a caller warned him where they were. The Goldsteins had a penny toss on saucers. The Brooks family had a dunk tank. A lot of fathers got dunked that day. The Abdullahs had a fishing booth. I think our family had the best game of all. A miniature golf course. Will, Marmee, and I put it together. We lashed together old rain gutters with traps and obstacles that had to be putted around in order to get to the end. A flower pot buried on the top. It was Marmee's great idea. Aren't we all something? Mima said when she saw our food court. On our street, everyone was so different. That's what Mima meant. So the Marticos brought stuffed grape leaves and ground lamb. The Polos brought spanakopita and Greek salad. The Abdullahs brought hummus and tabbouleh. Ooh, they're just talking about so much food. I'm hungry. Nono made a huge pot of spaghetti and fried schnitzel. The Yamaguchis brought sushi, yum, which I liked a lot. But Mima passed it up for fried clams and crawdads and corn on the cob, which the barbers had made. I love me some crawdads. Now, at the end of the day, when everyone was cleaning up and getting ready to sit in our backyard and just talk, Mima looked up to see Mrs. Lochner coming down the street. The Lochners had been invited but hadn't come. She planted her feet squarely in front of our mother. I don't appreciate what you two are, she snarled at Mima and Marmee. Will and Millie came running up. I froze where I was. Mrs. Lochner wheeled and stalked off. What's the matter with her, Mama? What's the matter with her? Millie kept saying. All the neighbors closed in on us. She is full of fear, sweetie. She's afraid of what she cannot understand. She does understand us, Mima quietly said. There seems to be no love in her heart either, whispered Marmee. The neighbors agreed. The Mardisos, the Polos, the Yamaguchis, the Kirins, the Goldsteins, the Abdullahs, everybody. And one by one, they hugged our mother. Then they all stayed and talked until late that night, thanking Mima more than once for thinking up the block party. Now, there wasn't a day in my life that I didn't feel deeply loved and wanted by Mima and Marmee. Our mothers were willing to do anything for us. We knew that. Here's what I mean. One day, Millie and I ran all the way home from school and came tumbling into the kitchen with news. Mima, Marmee, we've been picked to host mother-daughter tea this year. She squealed and jumping up and down. Well, what an honor, Mima said, looking at Marmee. That means we are going to have the tea here, I trumpeted. And I looked at Mima and Marmee. You both will have to wear long dresses with big picture hats. All of the mothers will be dressed like that, Millie added quickly. Mima and Marmee looked at each other and shrugged. We had never seen either of them in a dress, ever. Okay, they finally said. Well, okay. This is going to be a first. Mima sewed 3 whole nights to finish not only their dresses, but Millie's and mine as well. The garden was decorated, tables rented and set. A string quartet was hired, and our mothers had the affair catered by our Nono. After Millie and I got dressed, we waited at the bottom of the stairs for our mothers. We could hardly wait to see them. Oh, and then they appeared at the top of the stairway. We both caught our breath. They floated down like shimmering swans. As uncomfortable as they must have been, they looked beautiful. The tea was gorgeous, and everyone commented on how elegant everything was. My heart still skips. Oh, it skips a beat when I think of the two of them trying so hard to please us in those awkward, sweeping, ridiculous dresses. Now we love them for doing this just for us. From the day we entered our mother's house, they prepared us for the day we would have to leave. It was the first time when I left to go away to medical school. Then Will left to study engineering. Our Millie went all the way to New York to become a fashion designer. Not surprised by that. Of course, our hearts never left our mother's house. And over the years, Will, Millie, and I returned to be married in the garden back under Thistle House. Oh, that's so pretty. Look at that. They're all getting married. Oh. We celebrate our holidays together there, sang at birthday parties there, cried together when we lost our grandparents. When the 3 of us had our babies, all of them took their first steps in front of that clinker brick fireplace in their living room. They fell into the warming arms of their grandmothers, just as we had done. We watched our mothers grow old together in that house. They passed away within a year of each other. Will, Millie, and I placed them together in a green hillside overlooking the bay, very near the place where they pledged their love to each other so many years ago. Will and his family live in our mother's house now. We are so pleased that it didn't go to a stranger, and it is still a gathering place for all of us and our families. The walls still whisper our mother's name. All of our hearts find peace whenever we are there, not only remembering them, but being there together in our mother's house. The end. Oh, that was a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
And thank you, Miss Coco, for reading a book about a family that looks a lot like mine and reminding us that all families are beautiful, especially those that include a wonderful Italian cook. I make a mean eggplant parmesan, y'all. And I'm from Brooklyn. We love a block party. Now, for our next book, Mr. Max is going to read a book called When Aiden Became a Brother by Kyle Lukoff.
Hi everyone, I'm Max, and I'm reading When Aiden Became a Brother. When Aiden was born, everyone thought that he was a girl. His parents gave him a pretty name. His room looked like a girl's room, and he wore clothes that other girls liked wearing. But as Aiden got bigger, he hated the sound of his name. He felt like his room belonged to someone else, and he always ripped or stained his clothes accidentally on purpose. Everyone thought he was just a different kind of girl. Some girls had rooms full of science experiments and bug collections, and lots of girls didn't wear dresses. But Aiden didn't feel like any kind of girl. He was really another kind of boy. It was hard to tell his parents what he knew about himself, but it was even harder not to. It took everyone some time to adjust, and they learned a lot from other families with transgender kids like him. Aiden explored different ways of being a boy. He tried out lots of names until one stuck. They changed his bedroom into a place where he belonged. He also took much better care of his new clothes. Then one day, Mom and Dad had something to tell him. "I'm going to have a baby," Mom announced. "A baby?" Aiden said. "Does that mean I get to be the big brother?" "Of course," said Dad, ruffling his hair. Aiden thought that being a big brother was an important job for a boy like him. He wanted to make sure this baby would feel understood right away. The baby needed clothes, so Aiden and his mom went shopping. There were so many choices. Would the baby like seahorses or penguins better? "Are you having a boy or a girl?" asked a lady. Aiden didn't like it when people asked if he was a boy or a girl, and he hoped the baby couldn't hear yet. He was glad when his mom just smiled and said, "I'm having a baby." The baby's room needed to be painted, so Aiden and his dad went to the hardware store. Dad chose a gallon of sky blue paint, and Aiden added a puffy cloud white. "Are you excited for your new brother or sister?" asked the paint guy. "I'm excited to be a big brother," Aiden said. The paint guy looked confused. Aiden could tell that he wanted to ask a different question and was glad to have his dad there. The big rollers were fun to paint with. "This room feels just like being outside," Aiden exclaimed. He had always felt trapped in his bedroom before they fixed it, but his new sibling wouldn't have to feel that way. "You're right," said Dad. "Let's make some shapes in the clouds." Every baby needs a name. Aiden loved getting to choose his own, but he remembered that it had been hard for his parents to let go of the name that they gave him. He looked for names that could fit this new person, no matter who they grew up to be. Babies need someone to read to them, so Aiden practiced, and practiced, and practiced. Dad wanted to teach Aiden how to change diapers. Maybe later," said Aiden. He decided that picking flowers for his mom was more important. Can't say that I blame him. Two weeks before the baby's due date, Aiden started to worry. Maybe he should have picked different clothes. The blue walls might be too bright. He wished he could ask the baby which name they liked best. Mom came to tuck him in. "Are you feeling okay, sweetie?" she asked. Aiden put his hands over where he thought the baby's ears would be. "Do you think the baby will be happy with everything?" he whispered. "I don't want them to feel like I did when I was little. But what if I get everything wrong? What if I don't know how to be a good big brother?" Mom hugged him tight. When you were born, we didn't know you were going to be our son. We made some mistakes, but you helped us fix them. And you taught us how important it is to love someone for exactly who they are. This baby is so lucky to have you, and so are we. The next morning, Aiden found the boxes of his old baby pictures. He looked so different back then. It hadn't been easy, but he liked the boy he was growing into. Maybe everything wouldn't be perfect for this baby. Maybe he would have to fix mistakes he didn't even know he was making. And maybe that was okay. Aiden knew how to love someone, and that was the most important part of being a brother. The end.
Thank you so much, Mr. Max. It's so cool to learn about special big brothers like Aiden. And now for our final exciting performance, we'll hear from Emi Grate telling us the story My Shadow is Purple by Scott Stewart.
Hello, this is Auntie Emi, and I am going to read you this little book called My Shadow is Purple, written and illustrated by Scott Stewart. My dad has a shadow that's blue as a berry, and my mom's is as pink as a blossoming cherry. There's only those choices, a 2 or a 1, but mine's quite different. It's both and it's none. If there's a straight, then mine is a circle. For my shadow is different. My shadow is purple. My shadow loves playing with all sorts of toys, things loved by girls and things loved by boys. I dance with the pinks as they turn and they spin, and play sport with the blues as they lose and they win. Some of my friends think I'm simply confused, but the thing I love most is not having to choose. Some tell me I'm blue. Only blue can be strong. But my mom's strong too, so I think they're wrong. Some tell me I'm pink, 'cause pink's the most caring. But dad's always crying and loving and sharing. Why can't I love sport and dancing and trains and ponies and glitter and engines and planes? Why must I choose and exclude all the rest? I love choosing both because both is the best. And now it's time for the greatest event. The school dance is here. The invite's been sent. I'm ready to rock and I'm feeling cute. My mom made my skirt and my dad made my suit. I bounce through the door and gasp as I enter. The room split in two, right down the center. Blue shadows go left and pink shadows right. Once we're split up, we'll kickstart this night. Everyone laughs as they head to their zones, and right in the middle, I'm left all alone. I look to the left where the shadows are blue. They wave me over saying, "You're blue too! You're blue too! You're blue too!" Then I look to the right as I struggle to think. They call me over. "Come on! You're pink! Come on! You're pink! Come on!" The teacher walks up looking rather amused. "I know you're different, but now you must choose." My heart just starts racing. and the tears fill my eyes. I know I must choose, but I don't understand why. The room has gone quiet and everyone's looking. My cheeks are so red, they feel like they're cooking. If I cannot be purple, then I cannot stay. I'll leave and go home, I quietly say. I slowly start walking. My legs are like jello. A voice breaks the silence. My shadow is yellow. My eyes open wide, my shadow it gawks. A child walks to the middle, looks up, and talks. There's more than two colors our shadows can be. I was too scared before, but blue is not me. I know from outside blue fits like a glove, but my shadow's yellow, which to me feels like love. They turn with a smile and take hold of my hand. Who wants to join us? There's room here to stand. At first, no one moves. Then a hand's in the air. My shadow's as brown as a big grizzly bear. My shadow is red. Mine is silver. Mine is green. Mine is violet. Mine's orange. Mine's aquamarine. They all rush to join us, whatever their color, blue, pink, and purple, and shadows called others. I look at each shadow, no two are the same. On each happy face, there's no trace of shame. Each different and special and fully unique, no colors stronger and no colors weak. The teacher comes over as we're joined as one. Whatever your color, start dancing. Have fun! The end.
Thank you, Emi. That was such a great book about being true to who we are inside.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to all of our amazing performers and authors tonight. Please buy their books and support drag story hours at your local libraries. Let's give some snaps and claps for our incredible drag artists, Miss Emi Grate, Mr. Max, Miss Coco Sho-Nell, and Miss Nancy Nogood. They brought these amazing stories to life. PFLAG NYC is always here to support all of your families, and we have been for the past 50 years. If you like what we did tonight, please go onto our website, pflagnyc.org, and follow us on our social media pages at PFLAG or PFLAG New York City to learn about our support meetings, our special events, and the work we do in schools in New York. You can also make a donation there so that we can keep doing more events like this. We wish you a rebellious banned books week, an inspiring LGBTQ+ history month, and a great Latinx Heritage Month. Have a great night, everyone, and thanks for joining us.